Introduction. Arguments rarely end in truth. They usually end in ego. Most people don't want understanding. They want to win. But what if you could dissolve conflict not by overpowering it, but by guiding it toward reason? That's exactly what the ancient philosopher Socrates mastered, and what the Stoics later refined into a way of life. The Socratic Method isn't about debating louder or being cleverer. It's about asking the right questions. Questions that expose assumptions, reveal contradictions, and lead people to see the truth on their own. Instead of fighting against their logic, you walk them into it. These 5 timeless questions can dismantle arrogance, diffuse heated arguments, and make your calmness feel like power. They aren't weapons of pride, they're tools of wisdom. And when you combine them with Stoic principles, patience, humility, and clarity, you'll find that most arguments simply collapse under their own weight. Because the goal of philosophy is not to defeat others, it's to defeat ignorance, starting with our own. And once you master these questions, you won't just win debates, you'll win respect. Arguments are won through clarity, not combat in every disagreement. It's tempting to believe that victory comes from overpowering your opponent, raising your voice, sharpening your tone, or delivering the cleverest retort. Yet true wisdom, as the Stoics understood, teaches the opposite. Arguments are not won through combat, but through clarity. The goal of communication is not to dominate others, but to illuminate truth. When we approach a discussion with anger or ego, our emotions cloud our reason, and we lose sight of understanding. Clarity, on the other hand, demands calmness, precision, and integrity. It means choosing words that bring light rather than heat, expressing ideas so clearly that they speak for themselves, leaving no room for confusion or hostility. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus often reminded his students that it is impossible to learn or teach when one is consumed by emotion. If we wish to persuade others, we must first master ourselves. A calm mind is a clear mind, and clarity is persuasive because it reveals truth without aggression. When you explain your perspective with simplicity and reason, you invite others to think rather than react. In contrast, when you argue to win, you push others to defend themselves, which hardens their position. The Stoics believed that the highest form of strength lies in self-control, the ability to remain composed, rational, and focused on what truly matters, understanding and growth, not victory or pride. Clarity also means understanding your own ideas deeply before presenting them. Many arguments spiral into conflict because neither side truly grasps what they are defending. When your thoughts are organized and your reasoning sound, your confidence naturally replaces aggression. You can explain rather than attack, listen rather than interrupt, and guide rather than force. The Stoic approach is not passive. It's strategic. It recognizes that real influence comes from reasoned articulation, not emotional confrontation. A person who speaks with composure and clarity can disarm even the most hostile opponent, because truth spoken calmly carries undeniable weight. Furthermore, clarity nurtures mutual respect. When you listen carefully and respond thoughtfully, you communicate that your goal is understanding, not humiliation. This creates space for dialogue rather than debate, for progress rather than polarization. Great thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca knew that the most powerful arguments are those that appeal to reason, not rage. They teach us that calmness in conversation is not weakness. It's wisdom in action. It shows mastery of the self, which is far more admirable than mastery over another person. Ultimately, clarity wins because it endures. Combat may silence someone momentarily, but clarity changes how they think. When people understand you, truly understand you, they are more likely to reconsider their own position. So the next time you find yourself in an argument, resist the urge to fight. Instead, seek to clarify. Speak with honesty, listen with patience, and let your reason, not your anger, be your weapon. For it is through clarity, not combat, that truth prevails and respect is earned. The power of the Socratic Method. The Socratic Method, named after the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates, is one of the most powerful tools for critical thinking, personal growth, and intellectual discovery. It is not merely a style of conversation, but a disciplined approach to questioning that challenges assumptions, clarifies beliefs, and encourages deep reflection. Instead of offering direct answers or rigid doctrines, the Socratic method invites people to explore truth through dialogue. At its core lies the idea that wisdom begins with recognizing one's own ignorance. By asking thoughtful, probing questions, the method guides individuals to examine their reasoning, uncover contradictions, and develop a more grounded understanding of reality. This process transforms learning from passive reception of information into active participation in the search for truth. Socrates believed that knowledge and virtue are deeply interconnected. To live wisely, one must first understand the principles that guide right action, and that understanding comes from questioning. The Socratic method, therefore, is not about winning arguments, but about uncovering the truth behind them. It trains the mind to look beyond superficial opinions and emotional reactions, encouraging humility, patience, and rational thought. By constantly questioning, "What do you mean by that? How do you know this is true? What evidence supports your belief?" a person learns to think logically and express themselves with clarity. This habit of inquiry leads to intellectual independence, allowing individuals to resist manipulation, misinformation, and dogma. In modern life, where social media and quick opinions dominate public discourse, the Socratic method remains as relevant as ever. It offers a way to rise above noise and confusion by focusing on reasoning rather than rhetoric. Whether in education, leadership, or everyday conversations, the method promotes mutual understanding and respect. Instead of arguing to defeat others, we engage to learn together. This shift in mindset can transform conflict into collaboration. For example, in a classroom, a teacher using the Socratic method does not lecture, but instead asks questions that stimulate curiosity and critical thinking. In relationships or workplaces, applying this approach can resolve misunderstandings by encouraging open dialogue and genuine listening. The power of the Socratic method also lies in its ability to reveal hidden assumptions. People often hold beliefs without realizing their origins or implications. By examining these through guided questions, one can gain insight into personal motivations and values. This process not only strengthens reasoning skills but also fosters self-awareness. It reminds us that truth is not something given by authority, but something discovered through sincere inquiry. Ultimately, the Socratic method empowers individuals to think for themselves, question the world around them, and engage in deeper, more meaningful conversations. It teaches that wisdom is not about knowing all the answers, but about asking the right questions, and that the path to understanding begins with curiosity, honesty, and the courage to admit that we might be wrong. Question number 1. What do you mean by that? One of the most powerful tools in the Socratic method and in Stoic philosophy is the simple yet profound question, what do you mean by that? At first glance, it may seem like an ordinary inquiry, but beneath its simplicity lies a deep philosophical strategy that challenges assumptions, clarifies thinking, and from a Stoic perspective, clarity of thought is essential for emotional discipline. The Stoics taught that our judgments, not external events, disturb our peace of mind. By asking, "What do you mean by that?" we engage in the Stoic practice of examining impressions before accepting them as truth. This question acts as a filter, helping us separate reality from opinion. Instead of reacting impulsively or being drawn into emotional arguments, we use reason to understand what is truly being said. This practice cultivates patience, humility, and self-control, virtues that lie at the heart of Stoic wisdom. It reminds us that not every statement deserves a reaction. Some deserve examination. Furthermore, this question promotes genuine communication. In a world where debates often turn into battles of ego, asking for meaning shows that you value understanding over winning. It demonstrates intellectual respect. You're not dismissing the other person's point. You're asking them to clarify it. This approach often softens tension and transforms conflict into collaboration. It also reveals whether the other person has truly thought through their position. If they struggle to explain what they mean, it often indicates that their idea lacks coherence or depth. On the other hand, if they articulate their meaning clearly, it opens space for mutual learning and deeper discussion. Ultimately, what do you mean by that? Is more than a question. It's a mindset. It reflects curiosity, discipline, and a commitment to truth. By mastering this question, we train ourselves to think slowly, speak wisely, and listen deeply. It transforms conversations from emotional exchanges into opportunities for growth and understanding, exactly what both Socrates and the Stoics aimed for in their pursuit of wisdom. Question number 2. How do you know that's true? The question, how do you know that's true, is one of the most powerful tools in the Socratic Method and Stoic philosophy. It challenges assumptions, exposes weak reasoning, and demands clarity of thought. When someone makes a claim, whether it's about politics, morality, relationships, or personal beliefs, asking this question forces them to confront the foundation of their argument. Instead of accepting statements at face value, the Stoic approach urges us to seek evidence and understanding. This question is not meant to humiliate or attack others, but to invite them and ourselves into a deeper exploration of truth. It cuts through emotional bias and rhetorical flair, revealing whether a belief is grounded in fact, logic, or mere opinion. In conversation, this question works as a mirror that reflects the strength or fragility of an argument. Many people repeat ideas they've heard without examining them. They rely on authority, tradition, or emotion rather than reason. When you calmly ask, "How do you know that's true?" it forces them to think beyond hearsay and personal bias. This is the essence of Socratic questioning, not to win debates, but to uncover truth through rational inquiry. The Stoics valued wisdom as the highest virtue, and wisdom begins with recognizing the limits of our knowledge. By questioning the truth of a claim, we admit that certainty is rare and that understanding requires humility. This question also trains us to examine our own beliefs. It's easy to assume that what we believe is correct simply because it feels right or aligns with our experience. But Stoic philosophy reminds us that feelings are not facts. When we turn this question inward, how do I know that's true? We begin to notice the gaps in our reasoning and the stories we tell ourselves. This self-examination builds intellectual integrity. Instead of clinging to comforting illusions, we learn to base our views on evidence, reason, and direct experience. The Stoic practice of constant self-inquiry keeps our minds sharp and our judgments fair. In debates or discussions, using this question can diffuse emotional tension. It shifts the focus from who is right to what is right. It invites collaboration rather than confrontation. The tone is crucial. Delivered with calm curiosity rather than sarcasm, it encourages honest reflection instead of defensiveness. When others realize that you're genuinely seeking understanding, they become more open to reconsidering their positions. Over time, this approach builds credibility, respect, and trust. Ultimately, how do you know that's true? Embodies the Stoic pursuit of reason over rhetoric. It teaches us to think critically, speak wisely, and listen with discernment. In a world flooded with misinformation and strong opinions, this simple question is a shield against deception and a compass toward truth. By using it regularly, both with others and within ourselves, we practice the very essence of Stoic wisdom, the discipline of reason, the courage to question, and the humility to learn. Question number 3. Could there be another explanation? The question, could there be another explanation, lies at the heart of both Stoic philosophy and the Socratic Method. It represents the disciplined pursuit of truth beyond first impressions, assumptions, and emotional reactions. When we ask this question, we invite ourselves to pause, think critically, and examine whether our initial interpretation of a situation is accurate, or merely a reflection of our biases, fears, or desires. The Stoics believed that human suffering often arises not from events themselves, but from the judgments we attach to them. Therefore, by questioning our own perceptions, we open the door to clarity, emotional control, and wisdom. In everyday life, our minds are quick to create narratives. If someone ignores our message, we might assume they dislike us. If we fail at something, we may immediately conclude that we are not good enough. But when we introduce the question, could there be another explanation, we begin to dismantle these automatic conclusions. Perhaps the person was simply busy. Perhaps the failure was just a learning opportunity, not a reflection of our worth. This question pushes us to move from emotional reaction to rational evaluation. It teaches us that there are often multiple perspectives behind every event, and that our first interpretation is rarely the whole truth. From a philosophical standpoint, Socrates used this question to expose contradictions and false assumptions. Instead of attacking others' arguments directly, he encouraged dialogue by exploring alternative explanations. This approach not only disarmed conflict, but also helped others reach a deeper understanding of their own beliefs. Similarly, Stoic thinkers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius practiced this method internally. When confronted with anger, disappointment, or anxiety, they questioned their judgments. Is this really bad? Or am I just seeing it that way? Could there be another reason for what happened? Such self-examination transformed emotional turmoil into calm objectivity. In modern terms, this question develops cognitive flexibility, the ability to see things from different viewpoints. It helps us resist cognitive distortions like mind reading or catastrophizing, which can damage relationships and peace of mind. When used in communication, it fosters empathy. Instead of reacting defensively, we can seek to understand others' intentions. In problem solving, it encourages creativity by revealing hidden causes or overlooked factors. Whether in personal conflict, business decisions, or emotional challenges, this question reminds us that reality is rarely black and white. Ultimately, asking, "Could there be another explanation?" is an act of humility. It acknowledges that our knowledge is limited and our perceptions imperfect. It prevents us from being enslaved by our emotions or egos. By cultivating this habit, we become more patient, rational, and wise. We stop judging hastily and start seeing the world with balance and fairness. The lesson, therefore, is simple but profound. Before reacting, before concluding, always pause and ask yourself, could there be another explanation? In that moment of reflection lies the seed of wisdom, understanding, and peace. Question number 4. What evidence would change your mind? The fourth question in the Socratic Method, what evidence would change your mind, is one of the most powerful tools in any rational discussion. It's a question that exposes not only the strength of a person's argument, but also their openness to truth. At its core, this question challenges people to examine whether their beliefs are grounded in evidence or merely in emotion, ego, or habit. By asking what specific facts, data, or experiences would make someone reconsider their position, we separate those who are genuinely seeking truth from those who are simply defending their identity or pride. This question cuts through the noise of heated debate and gets to the heart of intellectual honesty, the willingness to be wrong in the pursuit of what's right when someone cannot name any form of evidence that would change their mind. It reveals that their belief is not rationally held, it's dogmatic. Stoic philosophy teaches that wisdom begins when we recognize our own fallibility. To the Stoics, knowledge was never about winning an argument, but about aligning one's understanding with reality. A person who cannot be persuaded by evidence is trapped by the illusion of certainty. By contrast, a true Stoic thinker understands that reason must always remain flexible and that new information can always refine or overturn an old belief. Thus, the question, what evidence would change your mind, becomes a mirror that reflects the humility or the arrogance behind someone's convictions. In dialogue, this question also serves as a way to test the integrity of both parties. If you are discussing a controversial issue, and the other person cannot describe any hypothetical scenario that would alter their view, it tells you the discussion is no longer about truth, but about defense. Recognizing this saves time and energy. On the other hand, if both sides can clearly articulate what kind of evidence or reasoning might change their perspective, the discussion becomes a cooperative search for truth rather than a battle of egos. This is the essence of Socratic dialogue, to seek clarity, not victory. On a personal level, this question is equally transformative. Asking yourself, what evidence would change my mind, keeps your ego in check and strengthens your intellectual integrity. It forces you to define your beliefs in a measurable, testable way. If you realize that nothing could change your mind about a certain topic, that's a sign you may be emotionally attached to the belief rather than rationally committed to it. By identifying what evidence would make you reconsider, you train yourself to remain intellectually honest and open-minded, a core Stoic virtue. Ultimately, what evidence would change your mind? is not just a question for debate. It's a philosophical exercise in humility and truth-seeking. It reminds us that wisdom isn't about being unshakable. It's about being open to reason. As Socrates taught, admitting that we might be wrong is the first step toward genuine understanding. Question number 5. Why is this important to you? The question, why is this important to you, is one of the most powerful tools in the Socratic Method because it forces people to confront the true motivations behind their beliefs, decisions, and emotional reactions. It goes beyond surface-level reasoning and digs deep into the values and principles that drive a person's perspective. When used thoughtfully, this question encourages introspection, honesty, and clarity. It's not about winning an argument or proving someone wrong. It's about uncovering the deeper meaning behind what they stand for. Asking why is this important to you allows both the speaker and the listener to move past defensive thinking and toward genuine understanding. In most discussions, people often defend their opinions with logic that seems rational on the surface, but when asked why something matters to them, they are compelled to reveal what's truly at stake. For example, if someone argues passionately about fairness, asking, "Why is fairness important to you?" might lead them to uncover personal experiences of injustice or a deep desire for equality. This simple yet profound question turns a debate into a dialogue, helping both parties recognize the human emotions and values underlying their words. It transforms confrontation into connection. Philosophically, this question reflects Stoic wisdom. The Stoics believed that understanding the why behind our actions leads to mastery of the self. By identifying what truly matters to us, we can distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. When someone realizes why something is important, they often discover whether their concern stems from virtue, ego, fear, or attachment. This awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence and inner peace. In essence, asking this question acts like a mirror, reflecting the hidden motives that shape behavior. In practical terms, why is this important to you? Can de-escalate conflicts and promote empathy. It signals respect, showing that you are genuinely interested in the other person's perspective. Instead of reacting defensively or dismissively, you are inviting them to explain themselves more deeply. This softens tension and encourages openness. In leadership, this question is invaluable for understanding employees' motivations. In relationships, it helps partners connect on a more meaningful level. And in self-reflection, it reveals what truly drives one's purpose and decisions. Moreover, this question can reveal whether a person's priorities align with their long-term values or short-term impulses. When we ask ourselves why something is important, we often realize that certain worries or conflicts are not as significant as they initially seemed. It helps us clarify what truly deserves our energy. In this way, the question becomes a compass for decision-making, guiding us toward authenticity and peace of mind. Ultimately, why is this important to you is a question of depth, not defense. It challenges people to go beneath the noise of opinion and find the truth within themselves. It cultivates wisdom, humility, and understanding, the core goals of both the Socratic Method and Stoic philosophy. By using it, we don't just win arguments. We win clarity, connection, and self-awareness.